Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we get started on using good judgment in retirement part 2, let me introduce to you in the studios with us in Louisville, Kentucky on this very cold January 30th. Is that right, Aaron?
31st.
January 31st, 2023. And I've already let the cat out of the bag. There he is sitting over there anxiously waiting to share his thoughts on life, money, and the pursuit of happiness. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orender. Is that one of the longest intros you've ever received from me? Wasn't that impressive?
I like that. Deserves some applause.
Yeah, applause, please. There you go.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I'm battling a little cold here, but I'm feeling so much better. We've already recorded a TV show. I got through that. So I'll tell you one thing, and I'm serious about this, Aaron. You know, I've been really healthy the last 3 years or so, and I've had 2 quick head colds. And I guess whenever I get them, I must be a wimp or something, but they always affect my voice.
Yeah. Always.
And so I'm just thankful to, you know, I think we forget sometimes the little things, but just thankful to be able to have half a decent voice to speak. So I'm glad that thing's running the course. All right, so what we've been talking about last week is this idea of you using good judgment in order to determine who you're going to trust with your money. And that could either be a financial product, it could be whether you put money in your 401k, whether you roll over something to a money manager or purchase an annuity or leave your money in the bank. And what we talked about last week was this notion that judgment has many facets to it. You can't just say, well, somebody uses great judgment all the time. Well, what we found is most people use good judgment, tell me if you'd agree with this, Aaron, in areas in most cases where they have expertise in. Would you agree?
If they have experience and expertise, sure.
Yeah, they're going to probably be a better judge than you are, although that doesn't always happen, but you would think it would be. I was thinking about this. The word opinion is melded into this form of judgment. So you're thinking, well, I think judgment would be fact. No, there's a lot of opinions that go into this. And to prove my point, Aaron, I was thinking about the Supreme Court. Have you ever noticed when they make a decision on something, but then they always say, this particular judge's opinion, they use the word opinion.
Sure.
So even the opinions on law can be opinions. It's just really interesting. So as we say all that, and then maybe that's even more confusing, you're like, Tony, well, that's just all the more reason I don't know who to trust with my money. I don't know how to judge their character. I don't know how to judge the product. I don't know anything about money. Well, you're in luck today because I'm going to give you some really good, simple tools to ask these advisors or these financial institutions who are so hungry to get after your money and in many cases are not giving you full details. Many of these people are not fiduciaries and many of these people are licking their chops to get your money. That's the bottom line. And they are not going to share with you, in many cases, what I see anyway, enough information for you to be a judge of whether the investment or the recommendation is right for them. So to prove my point that, and again, this show is for savers, folks. This show is not for investors and speculators. You know, an investor or speculator, Aaron, they may be saying, well, I don't ever work with an advisor. I just do my own thing. That makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, sure. Yeah, they're confident in their abilities. But 90% of the people out there, as I've determined it, are savers. These are people that admit they don't know a lot about investing. They don't know a lot about the tax laws. They don't know how to keep fees down. That's just not their realm. And this article that came out in Financial Advisor magazine, July 26, 2022. I love the headline. It says, majority of 401k savers want help from advisors, Schwab says. Now, who is Schwab? Well, Schwab, they're the custodian we use for all of our investment services. Schwab provides, any type of investment you can imagine. Yes, even these big boys do provide annuities. They don't talk about it much, but they do. But anyway, this is their branch. I think it's the Retirement Saving Plan Services branch or something that did this survey. But here's what they found. According to the survey, 60% of the participants said their financial situation warrants professional advice. 55% said they would be very confident making 401k investment decisions with the help of a financial professional, compared to just 38% who said they're very confident. That probably shouldn't really surprise you, should it, Aaron?
Right.
You're taking a saver,
Right.
all right, who admits they don't know a lot about investments. They've got these 401ks they've got to invest money into, and they're kind of said, here, good luck. Here's your sushi menu of different financial options. Let her roll. So basically what the Schwab survey reveals is the majority of people out there, if they trusted somebody, I inserted those words in, if they trusted somebody that they felt had good judgment to give them advice, they would prefer to take their advice, which again gets back to we're accepting advice from people we feel have good judgment, in other words, have experience and expertise in the area we're questioning them about. So how important is it for someone to try to get out there and learn from people who have used good judgment in the past? Well, last week, as an example, you can Google a lot of different people and go on YouTube. There's a lot of great people out there who are very, very wise people. But last week we talked about this gentleman named Charlie Munger. Aaron, have you thought any more about Mr. Munger? I know we used some of his quotes in our staff retreat we had several weeks ago. Any takeaways from him, or just?
I'm glad I know who he is. I agree with some of his points, maybe not all of them, but I agree with some of his points. Yeah,
and that's a good point there. You know, this happens a lot in our world. A lot of people ask about other financial advisors or entertainers, and it's kind of the same reaction I had of Aaron. You know, there's some good in what most people say, but not everybody, folks, is going to agree on everything everybody says. And in fact, Munger will tell you that. He'll say, you know, people will ask him all the time, what's the stock market going to do? He'll say, don't really know.
Don't know.
But one thing he said the other day, which was hilarious to me, now this is wisdom, okay? This is judgment. So Berkshire Hathaway, that's the company that he and Warren Buffett pretty much oversee, which is a great company. Over the years has created tremendous wealth for its investors. But they asked Munger why Berkshire Hathaway had so much money in cash sitting on the sidelines rather than invested in companies. Aaron, here's his response. Because it's too expensive to buy companies right now, right? Kind of like cars. We've talked about that. You know, I think some people are not buying new cars right now because they're just too expensive. So, you know, keep the money on the sidelines and maybe wait for them to come back down. Okay, so as we think about Munger's sage advice there, what he did in that example, he looked at a huge, huge picture of investments. I mean, people may be analyzing investments to death, and what he's learned in 99 years on planet Earth, in this example, prices are too high. I'm not going to invest in something if I think it's overpriced. So therefore, I'm going to leave my cash on the sidelines. So when we come back, we're going to talk about this whole cash is king thing and using good judgment right now, because there's a lot going on in the stock market that has people nervous. I'm going to share with you what we at Tony Walker Financial are doing for our saver clients to hopefully get them a decent rate of return without putting all of their money at risk. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Leanne Tinsley in the Income Planning Department here at Tony Walker Financial. With the recent passing of the Secure Act 2.0, the starting age for the required minimum distribution, or RMD, has been raised to 73. If you were going to be turning 72 in 2023 and were planning to begin those RMDs, you are no longer required to do so. If you have any questions regarding your RMD and your eligibility, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. To talk to me at no cost or obligation, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am America's favorite financial sidekick, Aaron Ornder. Just want to remind you of a few things we've got going on here at Tony Walker Financial. First and foremost, folks, if you're enjoying the radio show and you think, man, I wish I could go back and listen to past ones, or, Tony was talking about something from a previous show. Hey, it's really easy to do. All you got to do is get on SoundCloud.com. Okay. Go to SoundCloud.com and right there in the search bar, type in the Worry-Free Retirement, click search, and you're going to see our awesome bobblehead. So click on that. You're going to find all of our past radio shows. Now, you want to tune into the television show, but, again, you might miss it for whatever reason. We've got you covered right there. All you got to do there is go to YouTube.com. That's YouTube.com, okay? And in that search bar, you're going to type in Tony Walker Financial. Click search. Boom, there you go. You'll see Tony's smiling face. We've got all kinds of video content on there, past television shows, workshops. We got all kinds of stuff there. Now, one more thing I want to remind everybody about. We are now on social media. We were on social media a few years ago, took a little bit of a break, but now we're back and we're better than ever, okay? So we're on Facebook. If you want to go to Facebook and look for The Worry-Free Retirement, okay, that's our page. If you want to go to Instagram, type in at The Worry-Free Retirement, the symbol at The Worry-Free Retirement. That's all one word. You're going to find us there on Instagram.
Thank you, Aaron. Man, that is a lot to keep up with, isn't it?
That's a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, one of the books I wrote recently called Live Well, Die Broke kind of touched on a chapter in there where I think you like this chapter, Aaron. It's called Life is Too Short to Eat Cheap Bacon. And in it, I described the idea that no matter how much money you have or how little you have, it's always important to find something that you're willing to, as I used to tell my mother-in-law, Dee Dee, get off your wallet over. And as we think about Mr. Munger saying he's sitting on cash and he's not buying, companies because they're too expensive, I'm really worried my mom, who listens to the show, Aaron, this just dawned on me, is going to take his advice. And normally she spends her every last red cent on the best bacon she can buy, no matter the price. And I'm afraid she's going to go back to cheap bacon. So if you talk to Ma Joe, can you tell her to please keep buying it? Yeah, let her know. Thank you. All right, we get back to our show. And if you're just now joining us, I'm Tony Walker. We're talking about this idea of using good judgment, not only when selecting a financial advisor, but also strategies, different investments. And then I want to kind of go to this Munger theme of right now, as we record this show in January of 2023, there is so much uncertainty out there. And yes, depending on where you have money, you may not want to be so fully invested in the stock market. Also, this hasn't happened in 20 years. We are seeing some of the highest interest rates on short-term products, short-term annuities and CDs, than we've seen in 20 years. I mean, as we record the show, to get something as high as 5%, guaranteed for 5 years with no risk to principal, no fees, folks, that's crazy. I haven't seen that in over 20 years. So, right now, we're going to give an example of this at the end of a case study that's really a really great example. But right now, I would encourage you, if you're sitting out there now with a 401k, IRA, maybe a bunch of money languishing in the bank that's not making a lot of money, and you're really worried about this idea of maybe money is just tied up and you need more cash, more money in savings or money markets or CDs or short-term annuities, we are here to help at Tony Walker Financial. So that kind of fits you right now. If you just want something kind of batten down the hatches, earn a decent rate of return, not be hit with a bunch of fees and not tying up your money long term, why don't you do this right now? Why don't you go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started, and then what we can do, it's called a free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. You just call our office or log on through the Let's Get Started, and then we'll schedule that time. We will contact you, and then you and me will talk by phone. And if it warrants, we will meet in person to go through your entire scenario, free analysis. There's no cost. Unlike a lot of advisors that won't tell you what they're going to recommend unless you commit to them, we'll give you your information to study before ever making a commitment. And again, then if it warrants, we can meet in either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. In fact, Aaron, this week is one of those weeks. I've been in Louisville. After we do this show and a couple more appointments, I'll head up to Lexington, drive back to Bowling Green, and finish up appointments there. So that's 3 full days of kind of going through the triangle, as I call it. So we're happy to do that. So what do we use at Tony Walker Financial? How do we try to help educate these savers who really don't know anything about investments? That's why the article we read earlier says that most of them would like the help of an investment advisor. Unfortunately, the 401k is forcing them to choose investments that a lot of time contain a lot of risk. So what can a saver do to arm themselves to understand what's going on with these investments before handing over their money? Well, there's 3 rules of thumb that I learned years ago, and this was from a gentleman by the name of Bob Castellone, and I've kind of expanded this in terms of how we use it, but these are the 3 key components before ever making a financial decision. And in fact, if you're stopped or can write this down, you might want to write this down. This is some good stuff. Number 1, before ever investing 1 red cent with anybody, including yours truly, ask this question. If I turn over my money into this product or with you, how much use am I going to have with a dollar? Now, let's pick on the 401k a minute. Let's imagine you're 40 years of age and you're putting your life savings in a 401k. Folks, did you realize basically you have no use of the money? I mean, if you wanted to all of a sudden say, well, I got $200,000 there, I'll take it out and go buy a home or something. No, especially if you're still working, you can't even get but $50,000 out of there. So that would be an example of use. Let's think of another example of use. Let's say that you've got a large stock portfolio and, it's up a bunch and you say, well, I'm just going to start liquidating some stock and use that. And you forget that there's huge capital gains. Aaron, I've seen a lot of people not take money out and enjoy it because they don't want to pay the taxes on it. And I'll always say, so when are you going to take this money?
Right.
See what I mean? It's kind of almost a weird phenomenon we get into. So use of the money. Oh, the final thing I'll bring up, because we do a lot of annuities and there's a ton of people out there selling annuities now, is the use of the annuity. And what I've found there is if you don't have a game plan to see how the annuity is going to be used, be very careful about jumping into these annuities, especially if it's a long-term contract, more than 5 years. In other words, you would be charged huge surrender penalties to get out. Please make sure you have some sort of game plan before you purchase a long-term annuity, which we can help you with that. So use, that's the first rule of thumb. Number 2 rule of thumb, before ever investing a red cent, you're going to ask that question of the advisor or the institution this way. If I hand over my money to you, how much flexibility will I have with this product or your process? So the flexibility we offer our clients at Tony Walker Financial is very, very unique. And we created something called the split IRA concept. And this can be used for inheritances, 401k rollovers, money from the bank. It doesn't matter. But the concept is this. We're going to have 2 or more buckets of money. And these buckets are labeled and invested with different custodians. The first bucket we put with Charles Schwab. We mentioned Schwab earlier. Charles Schwab is where your money will be held. We will pick and do all of the investments, all the distributions, all the tax withholding. We do all of that for a whopping 0.8%, usually about half of what most money managers charge. So why do we put that money in the Schwab bucket? So we can have flexibility. Folks, some of you are running out here and you're putting your life savings in one stock or one annuity or even one mutual fund. That's pretty dangerous stuff, folks, because what if you need the money? What if something comes up you hadn't planned on? Aaron, you'll appreciate this. I had a couple in the other day, and they're clients of mine, and it was funny. They said, Tony, guess what we got coming up this year that we had never really thought about? They've got 2 daughters. Where do you think I'm going with this? Walking down an aisle.
Somebody's getting married.
There you go. So 2 daughters getting married in 1 year, and if they're like Lacey, they can just hang it up. There's no telling what they're going to have to get their checkbook out over. So these are things, folks, that things come up. You need the flexibility. So flexibility is key. Now, finally, the third. The third is almost as much a feeling as it is anything, and that is this word control. So again, before ever investing money, you want to know if there's going to be use of the money, and if so, how much or what parameters. You want to know if there's flexibility in getting the money out when you need it without a bunch of penalties and all that stuff. And then finally, you need to feel like you're in control. And again, the only way you're ever going to feel in control is if you have some sort of written game plan with which to look at these assets and when they're going to come out, which is what we do at Tony Walker Financial. So let me make an offer to you. If you're retired or nearing retirement, maybe received a large inheritance recently, you just realize, I need some help planning for the future. I have no game plan. Let us get an opportunity to talk with you right now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started, or just give us a call at 270-843-9380, 270-843-9380. And if it warrants, we will be happy to meet with you in either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. Okay, some good stuff coming up. We've got a great Tony in the Trenches about annuities and what I call mailbox money.
Mailbox money!
And also an example of someone who has a great net worth, did a great job of accumulating money, but never thought to know how to use this use, flexibility, and control. I'll be right back. I'm Tony Walker. You're listening to the Worry-Free Retirement.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403b, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
It is estimated that each day over 10,000 people will turn 65, which means a lot of advisors selling a lot of annuities. Don't get stuck in the wrong annuity. Get a second opinion from TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. As a fiduciary guided by the SEC, we're under strict rules on our advertising. One of the things they've loosened up this year, it used to be, Aaron, I know you never could, it's hard for people to understand. Everybody and their brother gets to do testimonials, but up until recently, a financial advisor really was not allowed by law to let somebody give them a testimonial.
Right.
So
yeah.
But I'm getting ready to give you sort of a testimonial. Let me just say this as a preference, folks. Obviously, this may or may not be good for you. This worked out great for this person. So obviously, whether it's me or somebody else, don't rush out and do what I'm going to share with you just because someone else has had a good experience. But here it is. I love this. This is from Debbie in Louisville. She sent an email the other day that said, Tony and staff, after recently discussing my 1099-R forms for the mailbox money, in other words, she's already getting mailbox money from her annuities we set up, I want to express how happy we are for Tony's recommendations years ago. I love this part, Aaron. She says, I was skeptical of annuities, but thankfully my husband was not. Something about them seemed too good to be true, but now I know this was the best financial advice given to us and comfort to know, and here's the key, Aaron, these are guaranteed for life. So here's a saver, been investing all of her life in the 401k, gets into retirement. I know this young lady, she's up there, okay? She's approaching the second half of life, and they wanted to start their mailbox money because she doesn't want to worry about money and she doesn't want to worry about running out of money. Does that make sense?
And if it's guaranteed for life, sure.
Yeah, and that's what an annuity is, folks. So again, if you're hearing negatives about annuities, number one, those are probably investors and speculators. They're not talking to savers. Or secondly, they don't know anything about annuities and guaranteed lifetime income. If you'd like to order, and actually we've got a free offer now. This is our entire bundle of booklets I wrote, which includes Annuities Made Easy and some other ones. If you would like to order the entire set absolutely free, just give us a call. The best way to do it, you can go on the website at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. The best way is just to call us, 270-843-9380, and just tell them you want the full bundle of booklets for free. We are going to need your name and a mailing address. We'll be happy to mail those to you. It's a limited time offer, absolutely free, and we think you'll enjoy that. All right, in our remaining time, if you're just now joining us, we're talking about use, flexibility, and control, and how that will allow you to use better judgment before just throwing your money at the first advisor or financial institution who wants it. So here's the stage, Aaron, I'm going to set. We got a couple, age 65. They're looking at a second home they're going to purchase in Florida. He has a small pension, Social Security. They're living on that, as well as a 401k. Now, it's interesting, the 401k, they said they don't need any income currently, Because between the Social Security and the pension, plus they've got a large stock portfolio, one stock, this stock was granted to this employee when he was working, and it's worth about $400,000 and pays a pretty good dividend. So what they're doing, they're leaving the stock alone and living off the dividends of about $12,000 a year. That's quite a bit of money, isn't it?
Okay.
So keep that, remember that number, $1,000 a month basically
$1,000 a month, yeah,
is coming off this stock. All right, these dividends. That's without even touching the stock. Let's see what else here. And here's their goal. By the way, their home in Louisville is paid for. Their goal, though, they want to buy this Florida home that they're looking at worth $300,000 without incurring any debt. You with me? So, okay. So you might say, well, gosh, how much money they got, Tony? Well, let me flip the pages on my cheap notes. So their current home is worth $400,000. Their current 401k is worth $300,000. They have $20,000 in the bank. The stock alone is worth $400,000. So, Aaron, I mean, if you just did some quick doodling there, that's well over $1 million. Don't you think they got enough money to buy a $300,000 home?
That sounds like it on paper. They do.
Yeah. So here's the problem, folks. And back to cash is king, and you'll see this in a minute. This is why nowadays, myself, Tony Walker, I've got more cash than I've ever had in my life. To be honest, I want it to earn good interest, but the way things are so uncertain now, I don't even care if they're not even giving me S&H green stamps anymore. Because here's what you're going to find out. Let's go through this case. So let's start with his current home. Could this person, this couple, borrow the money from their current home, the current home that's paid for, it's worth $400,000. Yes, they could probably borrow the money enough to get $300,000 for the Florida home, but that goes against their goal, right, Aaron? They just said they wanted to stay out of debt.
Right.
So that really doesn't make any sense to go borrow against their current home based on their objectives. See, some people might do this. That's all right. We're just saying this is the person's original objectives. My job as an advisor is to follow their lead, not to create a bunch of wild notions and do things they don't want to do. So strike the home. Now we go to the 401k. I did this on purpose, by the way, on the 401k. I think it was a little more than $300, but the 401k is worth exactly $300, Aaron. The house in Florida is $300,000. Why not just liquidate the 401k and pay it off? You could do that, couldn't you?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Now you've heard of something.
I know you can't, but
yeah. Okay. Here's why you can't do that, folks, because of the darn tax tumor buried in that 401k. Remember, all that money in your 401k is not yours. When you go to take money out at any time, the first person standing in line is Uncle Sam. He gets dibs on it first. And if this person, along with their other income, took $300,000 and tossed that money on their tax return, first of all, probably state and federal would put them in a 30% bracket. It could mess up some of their Social Security taxes. I mean, at least they're going to be out, I'd say at least, Aaron, $90,000. And you say, well, where are they going to get that money? They don't have it. They only have $20,000 in savings. So now, even if they did that, not only would they lose the growth on that 401k forever because it's gone, they're still $90,000 short, right? Because they only got $210 after they paid taxes. Is this making sense?
Right.
Okay. Well, they're saying, well, that's not a very good idea. Keep going here. All right. What about the stock? This should be easy. Tony, isn't this after-tax money? This person has this stock, $400,000. Surely there's not any taxes. Didn't he have to pay taxes as his employer granted the stock? Yes and no. Well, first of all, let's address this. Remember, that stock is paying a huge dividend, but if he sells that stock, in this example, with a $200,000 cost basis, he's going to owe capital gains on $200,000. Plus, if he sells the stock to buy the home, not only does he have taxes, but he loses the dividend of $1,000 a month of income. So you might be saying, Tony, what's the point? What's the answer to this? Well, the answer to this was this person should have had a planner, someone specializing in retirement planning, a fiduciary that could have been alongside them working on this. So if that's you right now, it's never too late. If you're sitting there with a bunch of assets, investments, and you've got these goals and these changes that are going to come your way in retirement, why not you at least kick the tires and give us an opportunity to look at your situation, get a free second opinion from me. I've been doing this over 38 years, Tony Walker. To take advantage of this free offer to talk to me, just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started. Or if you like, just call us. There's 2 different phone numbers you can try. Sometimes our toll-free number has been a little acted up, but I'll give it to you. 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-WALK. Or call 270-843-9380. Well, we've certainly enjoyed being with you today, but you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.